Hi, this is Caesar and D. Today is the 10th of October 2023, 5 o'clock. We started. We're going to give some tutorials and classes for the next uh, online classes for the next 90 days. And then following 90 days will be on hands-on training for computer science, every aspect of computers, and from networking to security to peripherals to operating systems and through computer repairs. Also, when the class is done, we're going to create a website that's going to make his business, and we're going to help him how to do the platforms for every social media and every company out there for SEO and social media, so he can get some exposure and get some business for his new company, upcoming company. This is D. So, hello,
Yes.
sir. Yes, and so he's pretty excited. I'm excited too. So we're gonna give a few classes per week, like three classes, couple of hours per day, for the next 90 days, and then from there we're gonna give hands-on training for every aspect of ins and outs of computer science, or every aspect of computer repairs and web design, possibly if he wants to learn that. But mainly, we're going to teach him everything about computers in this sense. So, and he could get certified with CompTIA and so on and so forth with different if he wants to get certified. Which in reality, you don't need it unless if you work for a company. If you work for yourself, you could do this yourself without having to have certified. Okay, so this is mainly the classes. Let's get out of this. We're going to talk about what is computer science and also what entails about CompTIA, which is it's kind of like in reality, CompTIA is just a course that teaches you about computers and what the peripherals do. In this sense, instead of going to CompTIA first, we're going to go and look at a motherboard on a PC. The motherboard is a centralized peripheral or device that connects different devices together, and also you include an SSD or a hard drive to install. First of all, everything connects via hardware, and then what makes it run, what negotiates everything together, it's the software, and via either Windows based or Apple based, iOS, or any device to any fashion. It could be a tablet, it could be a phone, it could be a computer, it could be a Mac Mini, an iMac, any device, even a laptop. Everything, it's basically the same. It's just depending on the size, but everything's a computer. Like a phone is a computer, a tablet is a computer. You know, so we're gonna learn about what it does, what's the purpose of that peripherals or the hardware, and what's the purpose of the software too. In this case, we're looking at a motherboard. So we're gonna go on a, for now, we're gonna show you kind of an idea of a motherboard. Let's say, let's look at a motherboard, a new motherboard. Let's do Asus motherboard in this case. Let's look at a 4K picture of it. You're watching what I'm doing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're listening to me fine, right?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to write down notes as well.
Well, you don't have to because you're gonna have this video on YouTube anyway. So
Okay.
if
All
you
right.
if you want to retain the information, just go back to the video and look at it. That's the best way to
Okay.
learn this. See this one right here, this motherboard you see here has two processors, right? Right here and right here. A dual processor, right? Not very common. These are probably used for like servers and such, like powerful computing that has dual. See that? See that right there?
Yes.
The dual one
Mm-hmm.
and two. Dual. They're called sockets. CPU, Central Processing Unit sockets. Okay, and That's one, right? There's several motherboards. There's different types of motherboards. There's the A. Let me see. Uh, I'll show you about the sizes of that, but let me show you what a motherboard does. In this case, let me see motherboard. Let's say if I could get a latest one. Let's see right here. Okay. Okay. You see the video, right, on the side? You see the enlarged video, right? Enlarged photo,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This right here on the left side, that's where the mouse goes. That's a PS2 old school mouse adapter. They still use that, the blue and the purple. Sorry, the
Purple.
green and the purple.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the purple's for a keyboard and the blue's for a mouse. They used to come out like that. It's called the PS2 mouse interface or keyboard interface. They don't have that anymore, or they still make some motherboards still have it, but that's going to be obsolete pretty soon. Now they're using just USB, like the one on the bottom right there. See that? See
Yes.
this right there where it says USB 3.0? There's the black
Yes.
one. The 3.0 is the blue one, okay? And the 2.0 is the black one in the middle. See the one black one in the middle? That's a USB. It's called Universal Serial Bus, okay? And that the black one is the 2.0, and the two blue ones on the side, the 2 and 2, that's why it says 4 times, 2 and 2, that's a USB 3.0. There's a different type of USB now that's actually being bombarded in most of the devices. Even on the new Apple, they're called the USB Type-C, which is a oval connection. This seems like it's an older motherboard, but it's okay. It's okay. It defeats the purpose for this. So let's say the first one you see there in the middle, in the center, it's the mouse and the keyboard. That's the PS2 interface. That's what it's called. And it's important. That's going to be in CompTIA. All the stuff that I'm telling you about is going to be in CompTIA. What is a PS2 interface? Let me go here.
You know, when you're
PS
saying PS2, I'm thinking about the gaming console, but yeah.
It's not PS2. It's not PlayStation 2, bro. PS2. Okay. See
Yeah.
this? What is a PS2 port? PS2 port is
Yep.
a 6-pin mini DIN connector used to connect keyboards and mice, compatible to computer systems like IBM Personal Systems and so on and so forth. And it got introduced back in 1987. Okay, that's the old school type of connection, which some computers still have it, and this is still working at this point of day. Six pin. See this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, and 6. The purple is keyboard and the green is mouse. Okay, what is a PS2? Okay, right there. It's a mini DIN connector that connects the mouse and the keyboard. That's all it is. Okay, that's the sole purpose of that. So let's go back. The next one, it's called, I think that's probably a COM port or a VGA port because it's not blue. Usually the one below is usually, if it's blue, it's VGA. But since it's next, if it's next to the HDMI port below, the next one, right there, see like this one?
Yeah. The KB one?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, KB, right. That's an HDMI port. So I think the top one in the middle between the mouse ports and the HDMI, it looks like it's 15 pin, so it's actually VGA. Usually that is a blue color. The common color for that VGA port. See? That's the common color. It has 15 pin port, okay? VGA graphic array connector, standard connection used to computer video output, originally also 1987. Okay? So the COM ports, the PS2 ports, and the VGA ports came out in the same year. Okay? So it's a 15 pin digital device. Well, sorry, it's more like analog. It's not digital. Okay? It's an analog connector. Okay? It's called the VGA. Okay? VGA graphics system, 15 pin. Okay? They still have those. Some monitors have the VGA, right? Like in this case, the DisplayPort is the latest one. Some of them have. Some of them still have. This is the DisplayPort. See the one, the picture on the side? See where the mouse?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is called the DisplayPort, and the VGA port's the blue. See, it's blue instead of black. But for some reason, AMD Asus motherboard, put it in a black color. It's kind of confusing because the COM port are similar, but it's a 9-pin. So let me tell you what a COM port is. They don't even, some computers have COM ports, not portal, port. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. See, this is the COM port. See black? See black? See this black one right here? That's a 9-pin COM port. Okay, 9-pin COM port. Okay, this is the V. See this picture right here? See the the blue one, and see the other one? It looks kind of black.
Yeah.
But some of them are male and some of them are female. That's a COM
Right.
port.
Right.
And the purpose of the COM port, let me see. Let me go all. Okay. It's called the computer communications port, communications serial port. That's the name of it. Communicate or COM port. See that? What is a COM port, right? Right here.
Yeah.
So on computers, serial port is serial communication. See, serial communication port, interface through which transfers in and out sequential 1 bit at a time. This is a contrast to a parallel port. Parallel port is a different type of port, but you'll know about the purpose of a COM port is for older devices. Some CNC machines, some printers, older printers, some CNC machines, some other plotters, like printer plotters for like architects, they have a COM port. This is an old interface. You could convert. This is prior to USB. They didn't have USB when these came out. Okay, USB came after. But this is a bit at a time, so it's slow. It's a slow interface. Okay? See right here? They converted it from COM port to USB. See that picture right there? See that right there? The blue? The blue and the, yeah.
Sure.
You could, they have adapters. Some devices require COM port. That's the only interface to connect to a computer. Therefore, you need, and some computers don't have COM ports. You could buy either a COM port adapter. See, like this one, this is an old computer. Let me show you another one. See, this is old computers, right? But now new computers don't have the COM ports. If you're looking back at your computer, it doesn't have a COM port, right? This is the adapter that they sell now, okay? 74, whatever it is. But the COM port is obsolete to some extent. Some computers still have COM ports. See, that's an adapter right there. See that adapter right there where it says Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Okay. That is the adapter. It's a PCI Express or a PCI interfaced adapter that connects to the PCI ports, the same location where the video cards go to, okay? So the reason why I'm teaching you this, because this is going to be in CompTIA. They're going to ask you, what is a COM port? In reality, you don't even use COM port no more, okay? So this is useless information, bro. But you need it because you need to know the roots of the computers. Okay, so let's go back.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Oh, okay.
So I actually have that right now. I have a VGA with a end of HDMI connecting to the monitor.
Yeah, but you don't have a COM
Yeah.
port.
So
You don't have
no
a COM
COM port.
Yeah, you don't have a COM port.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, this is the interfaces right here. See the interfaces. Let me go here. Okay. See, that's the COM port. Sorry, that's the PST. See, PS2 ports, right? Keyboard and mouse. The next one is the D-sub, digital, not D-sub or VGA. That's the name of it. It's a 15-pin connector. It's also a video connector. The next one is HDMI. There's different type of formats of HDMI. There's HDMI 1.1, HDMI 1.4. The sound travels on the HDMI. The VGA port doesn't, the sound don't travel. There is no travel because it doesn't have the, it's only data connection. It's not an audio connection. It's just data, okay? And the HDMI is both. It's data and sound, okay? The next one is called, like I said before, USB. So let's type in, let's get out of COM port. Let's go out of PS4 connector. Let's go type of USB connectors, right? So let's show you the type of USB connections. There's several ones, right? Several ones.
Oh yeah.
So these are the most popular ones right here. See these right here? Okay. The first one is a type A, right? Which is the standard one that you're used to, okay? There's a type A and a type B and a type C. Okay, you see the type C? That's
Yes.
the one that Apple's using, and that's the one that like all the Android phones use. It's a Type C connection. It's a USB Universal Serial Bus connection. Universal Serial Bus connection, and it's a Type C. That's the latest one as we know it. Okay, the original ones were the USB Type A, which is the standard one. That's a USB Type 1.1, and then 2.0, right? 2.0,
Yeah.
like the one we're looking at right here. This is a 2.0. See this right here? USB in the center, USB 2.0, and the next one is USB Type 3, right? USB 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are the two interfaces. And the Type B is the connection that goes into a printer or it goes into a different device that's not a computer. Okay, this the Type USB Type C, or sorry, USB Type B. It's an interface that connects to most likely a printer or any other device that travels like a hard drive, like old school hard drives. That's the type of connections they have. Older hard drives. They did away with this port. Most of the devices nowadays don't have this port, with the exception of the Type C, which is 3.0. Okay, sorry, the USB Type B, but it's 3.0. And instead of being black, check it out. USB Type B connectors. There's the blue one, see, and there's the white one. See the difference between this one and this one?
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the old Type B connection. The front one is a 2.0, right? The USB Type B, Type A, sorry, to Type B, right? Type A to Type B. And this is 2.0. And the next one is 2.0. Both. They're both 2.0, meaning the speed is 2.0. Okay? The next one, it's called the USB Type A, which is 3.0, and the USB Type B, 3.0. The difference is the color. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The speed on these, this is probably like 200 to 300 megabytes per second, or in this case, 5 megabytes per second. Really slow. And the next one is 9 megabytes per second. The speed, the speed of a USB Type Type C speed. Let me see how much it is, because they change. They change, right? Okay, right there. Now it's up. It used to be 9 megabytes. It used to be 6 megabytes. See, because there's a second generation, third generation. See that? 3.2. See that?
Yes. Yes.
So it's 10
Yes.
megabytes per second. Okay? The speed of a Type A, okay, speed. Check it out. But this is the new one, though. This is the new one. Okay? Type A, no. USB A or USB B? What's faster? Actually, 3.0, it's not the same because the speed changes. Okay? Speed. See, the transfer rates are slow. Depending on the older the generation, the slower it is. So you always want to do the 3.1 or the 3.2, whatever it is, the whatever version. Now it's at up to 10 megabytes per second. Okay? This connection right here doesn't do 10 megabytes per second. This one, because it's slow.
5.
Okay,
Yep.
or this one, or this one right here is the same one. Okay, this and this doesn't do that speed. It's a slow speed. Okay, the best speed is the blue one. This is the latest and greatest right now as we speak. Okay, so there you are.
Yep.
So keep in mind there's a different connection too, and the other connection is this one, the mini, which some devices have the mini. It's a regular USB Type A, but it's a mini Type A. See that?
Yes.
They used to have those on the phones too, and they stopped making them on the phones. And they used to have them on tablets too, and they stopped it now. They don't use that anymore because they converted it from USB Mini A to USB Micro A. So you probably remember this interface right here, the Micro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're familiar with this one. This is the new one, right? The Type C is the new one. This is old one. Old phones like the Blackberries used to have this interface. BlackBerry phones.
Right.
Yeah. And then they came out with this. Now Samsung had this interface for a long, long time on
Android.
Galaxy phones, right? Galaxy phones.
Yes.
It's called the USB Micro A. and the other end is different. And now they did away from this interface to the next interface. It's called USB Micro B, super speed, because this one has data and it has charging. They separated both. That's why it looks like this. Yeah, one has data and the other one is charging. This one just has data and charging. See, it has like 5 pins. 2 of these pins out of the 5 pins right here is charging, power. Okay, and the other one is data. Well, this one has 5 and 5. So this is actually the reason why it's super fast, because it's giving you different lanes of charging and different lanes of data speed.
Right.
And of course, they also did away with that. Okay, because that's a flimsy connection. The best connection right now in the existence of man is a Type-C. That's why Apple didn't want to do it. They want to do the FireWire cable, or what's the other one? The Apple cable connector. Yeah. They didn't want to do the Type-C connection for a long time. Now the new devices like the iPhone 15 right now has the obviously has the Type-C connection, right? And the tablets, like I got a tablet, a 10th generation tablet, Apple. I bought 3 of them for my kids, and they all have Type-C connection. They don't have the Apple stupid connector, right? Let me show you the other Apple power USB. Let me see connectors. Let me see if there's images for that. Hopefully there's images. Apple has different interface of, like, this is the Type-C now, right? See, this is the one we had. See this one right here? The difference between the two on this picture?
Yeah.
This is the new one. This is the new one. This is is a very safer connector. This is the one we used for many, many, many years. Okay, it's called the Lightning port. Okay, they're going to do away from this. They're not going to use this anymore. This is going to be the new one right there, the Type-C. Okay, the reason why I'm telling you this, so you have an idea what is USB, what is the purpose of USB, and the USB has 2 purposes. The one purpose is to travel charging and to travel data. So it has 2 purposes. Okay, so as you see, there's the HDMI, and there's different types of ports. So I'm going to go in and see the different type of ports of video connection that has sound and video, and it has digital quality, analog quality. In this case, this D-sub, the VGA, is just analog connection. So let's say type of video connectors. And this sounds like useless information, but you need to have this information, okay? So don't lose your patience, brother. Okay, this is different type of connections. The mini VGA, that's Apple mini VGA. Apple uses this one on older iMacs or older Mac Minis, like in little tiny boxes. Yeah. And then the next one is the VGA, which is the standard across the board for all compatible computers that are called IBM compatible. Every computer that you see, it's an IBM compatible. Okay, so every computer that you see, with the exception of Apple computers, any PC, Windows-based PCs are IBM compatible, because IBM is the one that came up with the computers. Okay, so they kept the name, so it's an IBM compatible, every single computer. The main computers, manufactured main computers in the existence of man is IBM, and now it's Lenovo, right? Okay, so VGA was pretty popular for many, many years, and now they got the DVI. This is called Digital Video Interface, and this is digital, and the other one's interlaced, right? So there's 2 of them here. There's the DVI and the DVI-I. Okay, these 2 are the same, but this one has more pins and better signal. Okay, digital video interface. Some monitors still have the digital video interface. Okay, video graphic accelerator. That's what it's called, VGA. Video graphic accelerator. Okay, so DVI, digital video interface. Okay, this mini DVI, Apple uses that one as much as the mini VGA. They did away with the mini VGA. They don't have that anymore, but they do the mini DVI. Okay, and that's the micro DVI. It's the same as the interface as the DVI, just a tiny one. It's a small one. These 2, some computers have these, like different devices have these, like streaming boxes or whatever. They have these 2 devices because they're so small. Those devices, like receivers or whatever, they use that because it doesn't take a lot of space. Look at the difference on the DVI, which is a bigger one. See the bigger one? It's big,
Yep.
so it requires a big device for you to solder this on the motherboard. And this one's really small. These usually go on probably like Raspberry Pi, single motherboard computing. Okay. The next one that's been popular for quite some time since HD came out. HD,
Mhm.
high definition media interface. Okay, and the reason why is popular because since 10K or a full HD, which is 1080p, when they started coming out, that was a very popular port. That changed the history of VGI or other video ports for TV. This is for computers. Okay, we're not talking about interfaces for TVs or other devices. This is just for computers. Okay, so
Mm.
the HDMI is very popular for quite some time. Now they came up with two of them, the mini HDMI and the same micro. Same deal with the mini DVI. The only difference between the mini DVI and the HDMI, or the difference between the DVI and the HDMI, the DVI sound carries, right? Some of them do, some of them don't. But mainly it's just video. It's video, okay? It's just mainly video. HDMI, it's video and audio. Same like the mini HDMI and the micro HDMI. Audio and video, okay? The next gen video display connector is the DisplayPort. Now that's the one that's going to take over right now because this one's a better connection. It's a digital video connection and it's a DisplayPort connection or DP connection. It's called DP connection or DisplayPort connection. And this one has some of them, they have audio and video too, like HDMI, and you could transfer 4K, and you could transfer HDMI original HDMI doesn't carry 4K, the original one, which is HDMI 1.1. In this case, this has HDMI 1.4. So this is a different version of HDMI. It probably has 4K capability, right? Possibly. If it was just HDMI 1.1, it doesn't have 4K. All it has is just 1080, which is full HD. Okay, so HDMI now there's 2.0, HDMI 2.1, which has 4K and 8K. Okay, but the DisplayPort has 4K and 8K and 16K and whatever. The sky's the limit on the DisplayPort. Okay. The next one is called the mini DisplayPort, right? The same as the mini HDMI, the same as the mini DVI. Okay, just a smaller interface. And the last but not least, also the mini display carries sound and audio and video. And Apple calls it Thunderbolt, but it's actually called just DisplayPort. But Apple just wants to name their own things, you know. They just want to feel like they're separated or they're special kind of thing. That's what they want to do. The last but not least that's actually going to work out, it's better than the DisplayPort eventually. They're going to do away TVs now. They're going to come with DisplayPorts. They're not going to put HDMI pretty soon anymore because it's a flimsy connection. It's a flimsy connection, so you don't need that. The reason why you need this because you need to know this, even though it sounds like redundant information, but you need to know this. Okay, there's a reason. There's a purpose for this. So okay, DisplayPort. So that's what's right now for computers. That's most of the computers have, you know, newer computers have DisplayPorts. They usually have 2 or 3. Even the video cards. Like let's say if you see a video card, say NVIDIA RTX 4090 or something. 4090 Ti. Let's see how it looks. Let me look at video image of that. Okay, let me show you the. Let's say Amazon. Let's go Amazon. Okay. Sorry if it's in Spanish, but it doesn't matter anyway. Okay, let me see if it gives you the picture of the ports. It doesn't give you the picture of the ports, which it sucks, because you want to know how many ports it has. Okay, like this one right here. This one right. See how many DVI display ports it has, and how many HDMI ports does it have?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Has a total of 3. What was that? So he has one HDMI for sure.
Yes, sir.
and then 3 of the one you just mentioned.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Display
sir.
display port. Mm-hmm.
There
There
we
you
go.
go. Display port.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good. So one HDMI, right? And
Yep.
3 display ports. Okay. The reason why it
Yes.
has 3 display port because the display ports are going to control right now. Okay.
Yes.
Eventually, they're going to do away with the flimsy connection of the HDMI. It's a very flimsy. It's sometimes over time it just disconnects by itself over time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And DisplayPort has a lock. Has a lock
Yes.
that connects it in place. Okay.
I see
Ne-
it. I see it around
okay.
the rim. Huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Got it.
So the next one that's actually going to take over because it costs too much money to make a DisplayPort. Look at the difference between the two of the HDMI and the DisplayPort. It costs more money to
Yes.
make a DisplayPort adapter, right? So the next
Right.
one is going to be the Type C, the Thunderbolt. Type C is going to be the next connection, and that connection, it travels 4K travels, 8K travels. You could also get sound. You could also get video, and it's a universal connector. It could go anywhere in any device. It's a universal serial bus connection. It's a Type C connection, and you could connect it to any monitors or any display ports or anything. And also, it gives it power. That's a beautiful thing about that. Now, TVs are not going to have a power cable. They're just going to have a USB Type C cable that has cable and power at the same time. Power, video, and cable. It's going to charge your TV, and it's also going to display data. So that's going to be, I have a monitor that you'll probably see the monitor eventually. That it's one of those, I think it's like 24-inch monitor or 27-inch. I don't remember the size, but that particular monitor just has a Type C connection. And it just connects to the computer and it gives it power and it turns it on. It doesn't need a separate power cable because the power is traveling through the USB cable, the USB Type C cable. So that's the thing. So, and the last but not least, the top one is called the RJ45 or the Ethernet cable. This is a gigabit LAN cable. There's different type of interfaces of RJ45. Okay, that's the actual name. RJ45 is an 8-pin position plug. I'll show you the picture of it right now. Commonly used for connect computers over the internet, local networks, and so on and so forth. There's 2 types, right? There's the B and the A, okay? And they're all twisted pairs. So most of the cables are twisted pairs, okay? Depending on the interface, twisted pair is pretty common. Okay, let me show you a picture of that. You've probably seen it before. Okay. These are called switches, right? Switches to connect different computers together. This one right here. But this is the RJ45, right? This has 8 pins, right? I don't know if you could see it. RJ45. See see the little grooves right here? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pins, right? 8 pins. Okay. There are different types of cables. There's the Cat5, which is the original one. So Ethernet. There's different categories of cables, right? Different categories, right? So you have to know that too. The most common ones, let me show you. The most common ones right now, this is the Cat 3, which is only 4 connectors, right? This is old school 70s, dude, 70s, right? And then the popular one that's been in existence for quite some time, 30 plus years, probably 50 years or more. It's called the Cat 5. Cat 5A, E, and B, and different Cat 5s, right? This is the popular one. You could buy a rim of Cat 5 cables right now. What's this crap right here? NLYHNM. Let me see if it goes in there. Okay, let's go. Don't change. Let's go here and type in Cat 5. Okay. See, this is expensive. See right here, 500 feet, 500 feet, Cat 5E, $49. You could buy a rim that's 1,000 feet. This is too expensive. $141 for a Cat 5. Come on, dude. So you get like this one. See, $64. See this?
Yep.
$64 for this. And there's the Cat 5, and there's the Cat 6. Cat 6 is shielded cable, which of course I'm going to go through that. I'm just giving you this as we go, okay? This is a Cat 5. Look at this. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a shielded cable. CompTIA is going to teach you about the type of cables too that you need, okay? This is the premium cable. This is slightly more expensive, but it's a better shielded wire insulated cable. See this? Insulated solid bare copper, okay? And noise reduction. It's a better cable, right? Cat 6. But we're going to go through that. So let me close this out. I'm going to teach you how to make cables too. So there you are. So Cat RJ45 connector. It's called an Ethernet connector. Okay? And the last but not least is the audio. It's an 8-channel audio. Usually you connect it to the center. That's the green. It's always the sound connector. The red is a mic. And the blue is like a digital connection for like a soundbar or a subwoofer or like one of those 5.1 speaker systems like the Logitech ones that you could connect it there for the so the subwoofer. Okay, so this is the kind of ports, and this is kind of like a cheesy motherboard. There's different better motherboards than that. This is just cheesy, but the reason why I'm telling you what it does is so you have an idea what it does. Okay, let me show here. Okay, so let's go to a different motherboard. Okay.
Man, they were selling that for $1,000.
Yeah, right. Okay, check it out. So we're not going to teach you this anymore because it's not important. What we're going to teach you is what is all this stuff right here. All this. What's the purpose of all this stuff? This one's easy. That's this is kind of like, even though it's 1,000, it's probably obsolete and probably, it's probably old. So that's why it's expensive. This is the Asus Prime motherboard. See the motherboard? Every motherboard has the name brand in the center, either in blue or green or black or whatever color, right? Or white or whatever color. You can see the model, right? Give me read me the model.
Yeah, Prime A320MK Rev
dash
123.
Yeah.
Dash K.
Yeah.
Rev.
That is a model number. Okay, so if you want to buy a monitor, that's where you look at it. You look at the center of the motherboard. It'll give you the model number. Okay, so right here, all these are the ports. They're called the I/O ports, interface ports. And most of the round ones right here, like the 16-volt ones, they're called capacitors. All these are, you see the line of capacitors? Okay.
Yeah.
And this is MOSFET. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. MOSFET capacitor. It's also a capacitor. It's a newer capacitor, and these are considered metal capacitors or aluminum capacitors. There's different type of capacitors. Old and modern. Okay, let's see a picture, right? Okay. These are the old school. See these capacitors? Old school capacitors. They're ugly, man. Ugly.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are old capacitors now. These explode. Okay. These explode from the center, right? They don't make these anymore. Well, they still make them in some. They're cheap capacitors. Okay. Low quality capacitors. Okay. So these are old school, low quality capacitors. So type, let's say modern capacitors. Let's say. Okay. Look at the modern capacitor. See this? Aluminum. See that? SMD aluminum capacitor. See this? But these don't explode. They burn, but they don't explode. Okay? And the other capacitors, there's different type of capacitors. Okay? I don't know if the picture does this justice. You see the picture? Okay. Electronic capacitor. This is a good capacitor. Let's say, let me see if a common capacitor. Let me see if that motherboard has a common capacitor here. See, most of these are metal capacitors. See, aluminum capacitors. See that 16 volts? You see all the 16 volts? Okay, those are metal. All these are metal capacitors. 16 volt. That's another 16 volt. These are the same capacitors, and this is the same capacitors. I think this is 3 volts. There's different type of voltage. Obviously, 16 volt, 5 volts, 3 volts, depending, right? Depending. And this is another one. This is a 6.3 volts. See that? 6 volt, 5 volts. There's another one that's a 4 volt right there. I don't know if you
Yeah.
see it. Oh, sorry. Right there, 4 volts, like on the middle. There's a 4 volt, 4 volts. So
Quite a few. Yeah.
yeah, there's capacitors. The purpose of a capacitor, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell you what it does. I'm gonna show you what it does. Capacitors are important on a circuit board. Okay, capacitors are widely used for electronic circuits, blocking different current while allowing it. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, blocking current and allowing it to currently pass. Analog filter, smooth power supplies. So it's kind of like a filter. Okay, it's a filter. Okay, sometimes when the current's too high and it doesn't control or it doesn't filter the capacity of the voltage, then it explodes or it shorts. The benefits of a capacitor: it can quickly charge and accurate accumulate energy, quick delivery of storage, loses small compared to storage mediums, and long service of life. Obviously, if you have metal capacitors, you're going to have long service of life. These are old school capacitors. I remember those. Atari used to have these capacitors. But there's high quality capacitor. Let's say high quality. Like these are old school capacitors. They're not as good quality capacitors, right? The good quality capacitors are the metal ones, right? This is the old school capacitor I was talking about. These explode from the top. Okay?
Yeah.
These explode from the top. So I'll show you a picture of how it looks when it leaks. They're not high quality capacitors. These capacitors suck. These are old school capacitors. They still use them because they want to cut prices. They want to cut short. See this one here? That's a capacitor right there. And the reason why it's like this opens up and leaks. Okay, this is a better capacitor. Look at the difference. This is a better, but this also explodes. This is a bad capacitor right now because it burnt. Okay, but it's still a better capacitor, better weight capacitor than this crap right here. Let me show you how to. Let me show you. See right there.
Oh my.
This is what you're going to look when a computer doesn't want to turn on. The first thing you look at is to see the capacitors. See how the capacitors are. Are they blown? If they're blown, the computer doesn't work anymore. That's another one. See that?
Yeah.
See these right here? And that's why you got to blow out the computer. You got to clean the inside of it. Because if you don't, that's how you kill the computer motherboard. That's how you kill the capacitors. This is a healthy capacitor right here, but it looks like it burnt from the bottom. It didn't explode, but it burnt. See that?
Yeah.
That's what you look at a motherboard when a motherboard has problems. You look at the logic board or the board. See this one? See this blown one?
Yeah.
Look at these one right here.
Damn.
They
They're
usually
leaking air, huh?
Yeah, they usually explode up, but some of them leak. So you have to look to see if you have leaking capacitors or blown capacitors. See this right here?
Yeah.
That's about to burn. It's not blown yet, but it's about to blow. Once they blow, they're dead. So you have to replace them. See this? See these healthy ones right here on the side, the 3 of them? And see these 3 of them right here, the bad? Well, that's what you look. Yes, you could fix it. You could replace the bad capacitors, but that's the last thing I'm gonna teach is soldering, okay? Because it's hard to find the parts, and sometimes you need a donor motherboard to take out the old capacitors and replace them with the correct ones, okay? But those are blown capacitors, so they're different type of capacitors. So this one apparently has nothing but good capacitors. See this?
Yeah.
Okay.
All upgraded.
Yeah.
None of that old stuff.
This right here is called the CMOS battery. CMOS. The purpose of the CMOS battery, and I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you what it does. I'm going to show it to you. CMOS standard complementary metal oxidized semiconductor. The CMOS battery powers the BIOS firmware. Okay, it's a software that's pre-installed on the motherboard. and needs to retain operational even when the computer isn't plugged in. Okay? So you need a CMOS and also a CMOS battery. Okay, the CMOS, it's called either the BIOS or the CMOS. BIOS. What's the difference between the two? Okay, generally the BIOS and CMOS are used to interchangeably. Okay, so you need them both, right? These and this, right? The BIOS chip is a motherboard that contains the program, firmware, or software commonly called BIOS. It's called the Basic Input Output Service. Is to boot the computer. A CMOS stores the time and the disk. So it's almost the same, but it's not the same. The purpose of the BIOS is to connect all your peripherals together. A peripheral is your audio, it's called your memory, it's called your CPU, whatever peripheral that's connected to the motherboard. Whatever you see on this, whatever you connect to this computer controls the CMOS. I don't know where the CMOS, I think that's it. No, that's not it. Where's the CMOS? I think it's one of these. I'll show you where the CMOS is. Hold on a second. They make it, there's different ones. They make them different. I don't see it. I don't see it. CMOS. I see the CMOS battery, but I'm looking at the BIOS chip. That's what I'm trying to look for. The BIOS chip is probably one of these two right here. One of these small ones right there. I think it's this one. This one right in the center. See in the center where it says LAN guard? It's probably when you see all the connections. Are you there?
Yeah.
Below IO Suite 3. Yeah, IO Suite 3. Below where it's the D, right across the D on the left. I think that's the BIOS chip. Okay, because it has a lot of connections. See that?
Yes,
okay.
I see it. All those pins on it. Yeah.
Yeah. The purpose.
Yeah.
All those things you see there, they're called fuses. It's a fuse. Okay. So let me show you what a fuse does. All these little tiny things, they're fuses. All these tiny things you see all over the place, they're called fuses. So let's say motherboard. Let me see. Let me show you how the fuse look. They're small, dude. A grain of salt, bro. A grain of salt. Okay? Look how small they are. See this? How small they are. See this. Okay. Next to a dime. See how it looks. They're so small that you barely see it. See this right here? See this tiny one right here? That's a fuse, bro. The other time, Chris, I put an LCD screen on a laptop, but he forgot to disconnect the battery on the laptop before putting the new LCD screen because it was broken, and he forgot to disconnect the battery. He blew out the fuse, okay, because it had the battery connected. Look at how small it looks. See those fuses right there? All those tiny fuses? The size of a dime, dude. They're small. You can barely see it. So he had to replace the fuse, one of these fuses, like tiny-ass fuse like this. Okay? He replaced it with a magnifying glass and a device and a machine, and he took it out and put a new fuse, and the computer's working fine. Okay? Some of these computers, like motherboards, like either gaming motherboards, the fuses blow out. And sometimes the first thing they do is just, the motherboard's dead. You got to replace it. That's the first thing they do. But you could check to see the continuance of the power on the fuses, and you see which fuse is dead. Kind of like a car. The fuses in a car. You see if it's blown out, it'll tell you. These are conventional fuses, right? Right here. And this is like the other fuses for the E-fuses. But look how small they are, bro. They're replaceable. Okay? Just like, see all those fuses? See all those tiny fuses right there? All those? See all those fuses around the little CMOS thing? See? A lot of them.
Yes.
Okay. So they're
so many of them.
Yeah, the purpose of the fuse is so it doesn't further damage the motherboard. Okay? It's a fuse, and it controls the current on the motherboard itself. Okay? The center thing that you see here, it's called the socket. This is an AMD. It's called an AMD socket or an AM4 socket. They have the AM4 and the AM5. So let me see what type of sockets. It's called the PCU. Sorry, PCU. What am I saying? PCU. CPU, it's central processing unit socket. Okay, so let's see how they look. CPU type of sockets. Let me see some images. There's different type of sockets. A5, 7. Sometimes they have a name, a code name. They're called the LGA. See right here? Land Grid Array, right? And PGA, that's more for AMD. PGA uses AMD. AMD uses PGA, Pin Grid Array. Okay, let me show you what kind of socket this is right here. What do you see in here? It's a socket. It's an AM socket. It's an AM4 socket. So let's say here. So which one of these does it use? Look at it.
I see that one. Where's that at?
Keep in mind, that's a newer socket, okay? It's an AM4. But which one from both? Go back. Go back, and the last one. Which socket does it use? The first one or the second one? That is correct. That is correct one. That is correct. It's a PGA. It has pins, right? Okay, that's an AMD socket, okay? The Intel processors use this one, the LGA, okay? So there's two type of sockets, right? There's the LGA, the AMD, and LGA. Two type of sockets, right? See the difference?
Yeah. PGA. Yep.
PGA is for AMD, and LGA is for Intel, right? That's the type of sockets, right? See right here. M5 versus LGA. Okay? So I personally like the sockets on the LGA side, which is the Intel, because it's easier and you don't bend the pins on the processor.
Mm-hmm.
And if if you put the socket wrong, if you put the PCU, the central processing unit, the CPU wrong into the socket, then you could bend the pin, and you have to either repair the PGA socket or get rid of it and get a new one. Okay, let me show you how that looks. Bent PGA pins.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
That's terrible.
Okay. You can repair that, but sometimes when you repair it, when you pull it back, you might break it. It breaks off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you could still repair it, but you got to be extra careful, right? And this is an AMD, right? AMD has the pins, right? AMD has the pins. And sometimes it could be just one pin. See how it's broken right there?
Right.
See how there's like 3 bent, 1, 2, and just 2 bent and a broken one.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could fix it, but you need a magnifying glass and you got to take your sweet time, because if you wiggle it too much, the pin will break and it will separate. You understand? So you got to be careful with that. So there's 2 type of sockets. Let me show you the LGA sockets. See? The pins are on the motherboard. See that? The only downside about the LGA sockets, that when you're holding the CPU, okay, the Intel CPU, make sure you don't drop it on that. Because if you drop an edge on that, you bend the sockets. You bend the pins on the socket. You understand?
Yes.
So you got to be careful. Okay? That's the downside about that. Okay? If you hold it, and if you don't hold it well, you might drop it on top of that. And if you drop it on top of this, well, this one doesn't have the pin, so it doesn't matter. The AMD AM4 socket, or the Ryzen whatever processor, which is an AMD Advanced Micro Devices, it's the direct competitor of Intel. They have the pins on the CPU. So you got to make sure you put it the right way, okay? Because you'll bend the pins on the sockets. Okay, so there's two. I showed you the two types of sockets, right? So there you are, right there again. See that? These are old school ones, right? LGA socket, that's for Intel. PGA, see, is for AMD. Again, LGA is for what?
Intel
Okay, and what is PGA for?
or AMD.
Yes, AMD. Okay,
Yep.
AMD versus Intel. Which is better in 2023? This is personal experiences from people. Doesn't mean it's correct, right? But right now, as far as I speak to you, right now what's controlling is AMD. Intel was good for quite some time, for many, 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 many years. But now AMD is more powerful. Okay? AMD is more powerful. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Intel is more pricey. AMD is good for gaming. Okay? Specification wise, Intel's better. Overclocking, Intel's better. Power consumption, AMD takes more power. Drivers, a lot easier for drivers for AMD. The nodes, more nodes. Better architecture, better security. See, AMD has better security than Intel. And who won? Obviously Intel. But in reality, honestly, let me show you something, brother. Let me show you something. Device manager. This is my computer, right? How many processors do I have on this?
But a bunch
A lot.
load.
A lot, right?
Yep, definitely. Yep.
Intel doesn't even come close.
Mm-mm.
Okay? So Intel probably has probably 24 or probably 16. I got double the cores.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, which is better? The one with more processors or the one with less processors?
Obviously, the more processors.
There you are. Okay. So in
Definitely
reality,
more.
probably a hater that did this article is
Yeah.
pro Intel. Okay. Personally, I like Ryzen. Okay. Ryzen's the way to go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the prices on Intel. Threadripper is expensive processor. It's more for like servers, and the Xeon is more for servers in Intel. But look at the prices, man. Intel, $6,000. Sorry, AMD is from 2,000 to 6,000. Look at Intel for Xeon because Threadripper is more powerful. I have a Threadripper here, a processor and a motherboard. It's more powerful than Intel. That's the reason why it's more expensive. But it's okay. This is for high industry usage for servers, for for big companies, right? Okay, Intel Ryzen 9. That's what I have. Ryzen 9 and Intel i9. The difference between both, it's the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Fairly. Yep.
The i7 and i7, the i7 is more expensive. Okay. The Ryzen 5, is more expensive. Well, actually, no, Intel is more expensive. I think Intel's more expensive overall, with the exception of the Threadripper. Ryzen 3, more expensive. Intel. So across the board, Intel's more expensive, with the exception of the i9 and the Xeon. The Xeon's cheaper, right? Because the AMD is more expensive. More expensive because it's better. Right here. There's a graph right here. See? Ryzen 9. Look at this. Number 1. See that?
35. Yep.
Yeah. So the Xeon, I don't even see the Xeon here. Probably below here somewhere. Xeon. Ryzen. I don't see the Xeon because it's not
at all.
because it sucks. That's why. So the Ryzen 9 is the way to go, right? And there's the Ryzen 7. Let's say, okay. So let's go here. Let me see if there's more. This is the i9 702. This is 235, which is test for Windows 11. So it's better performance. And between the two, the Ryzen 9 and it's a little bit better apparently, but that's a lie. Somebody's hating. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So I don't trust these benchmarks. Okay? I just know what I test and what I use every day, and I know what that is. So this is called the socket, right? It's called the,
Mhm.
in this case, it's called the AM4. You see right there, it says AM4.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
There's two type of sockets for AMD. AMD, AM4, and AM5, right? So there's the two type of sockets right here. AMD uses two processors, AM5, and what's funny is that AM4 has been in existence for quite some time, probably over 20 years. And then Intel's keep changing the sockets every freaking year or every 2 years.
Mhm.
So since you have to change the sockets, you have to change the motherboard, right? So let's say if you want to upgrade your computer. It's a different socket, therefore you got to buy a new motherboard. AM4,
Mm.
you could keep changing it until you update the BIOS or update the firmware on the motherboard. You could still use it. So AM is later being the latest release, right? AMD 5 socket uses DDR5 memory. That's the purpose of that, because it's DDR5. Whatever memory you have in your computer is probably either DDR3 or DDR4, okay? Which has more higher bandwidth and lower latency. Latency means it's not as slow. DDR4, it's used for AM4. So you probably have I think you have an Intel processor, but the DDR4 is AM4, okay? And so the performance, it's a little bit better AM5, but they haven't changed the socket for, let me see. Right there. 2017, committed to using AM4 platform. In 2022, that's when they came out, right?
Yeah.
So when will be obsolete? Pretty soon. Okay. Why AMD is abandoning AM4? Confirm that AMD continues supporting platform. Becomes likely support the possibility of changes to a new CPU. That's the reason. So they haven't been changing. Intel. There's only two sockets, right? AM4 and AM5, right? Like I said, look at Intel CPU socket history. Look at this, dude. Socket.
One,
It's all these sockets. See all these
four,
sockets?
5, 6.
Yeah. See all these sockets? Come on, dude. Do you really need this? Honestly? But this is CPU. All I want is Intel. I just want is Intel. Let's see if there's an image. Right here. No, that's not it. Probably this. Well, like I said, there's a history of sockets, and there's a lot of sockets. Okay? So that's why when you buy a computer, the first thing you got to know what socket you have and if it's upgradable. Okay? Because if not, then it's going to be a pain in the butt, and you're stuck with that computer, and you have to buy the same processor, and it's going to be a problem. Okay? So make sure you buy the right socket. Let's say if you upgrade the motherboard and you want to still keep the CPU, then make sure you get the CPU that's compatible, the motherboard that's compatible to that CPU socket. Okay? And as far as the memory, if it's DDR4, across the board, you can put different frequencies of memory as long as DDR4. But yes, history of sockets. They'll tell you about that in CompTIA. Okay? Why do you need a CMOS battery in there? The CMOS battery retains the time and the date. So, purpose of a CMOS battery . Okay, right there. To recap, the CMOS battery powers the laptop's BIOS firmware, of course. The purpose of the CMOS battery. Yes, it could run without the battery. Right there. That's Microsoft telling you. Your motherboard and computer will be able to boot just fine without the CMOS battery present. The issue is that the BIOS settings will be reset every time you start the computer. Okay? So sometimes when you don't have the right time and the right date on your computer, or the right booting device or the right booting sector, and it's not booting to your operating system, or it's not booting to your actual SSD or hard drive, is because the CMOS battery is not retaining the memory, because it does not have a battery. So that's why
Very,
you need a
very
CMOS
important to have
battery.
it.
That's why you need a
Hmm.
CMOS battery. Okay. You could still
I
run.
do,
Go ahead.
I do see one on my, I do see one in my computer.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely here.
Yeah, right here. Removing the CMOS battery will result in CMOS or BIOS going to default settings. It doesn't erase the memory in there. It doesn't erase the information. It just goes to default with the date and the time going back to the CMOS battery date. CMOS might identify the boot sequence, might not identify the boot sequence, meaning it's not going to boot up to your operating system because it's not going to be able to boot because it's not going to the settings that you have, the settings that you customized on the CMOS. If you take the CMOS battery in there, your computer might not boot to your operating system because it needs a CMOS battery. See what I'm saying? But your problem
Yep.
on your computer wasn't the CMOS. Your problem was because now you're booting up and it's still running to the same date and everything. Your problem was the hard drive. You had a mechanical hard drive. Okay? So that's what it is there. Okay. This right here, on the right side, see those 24 pins? Count them. How many pins
24
are they?
pins.
How many pins are they? Count them.
There's so many.
No. On the right. On the right.
On the right.
On the right. On the
On
right.
the right.
On the right.
Uh-huh.
Move it to the right.
Move to the right.
On the right. See that right there? Where you're pointing below? See those? See that little
Uh-huh.
port? What is that? What is that port for? If you don't know about it, I'll tell you. How many pins?
2, 4,
How many
6,
pins
8,
does it have?
10, 12, 14, 15, 20, 24. There's 24.
Right.
24.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
24 pin cable that carries the power from the PSU, which is called the power power supply. Power supply unit. Okay? You need this connection because you need it to get power, right? It's called a 24 pin power connector. Okay? The motherboard has two power connections. It's called the Molex cable, which is either 4 to 8 pins. This one has four pins. Show me on the motherboard there's a 4-pin connector. It's called the 4-pin Molex power connection, or it's called the ATX 12-volt connection. Show me on that motherboard. Keep going until you find it. Keep going until you find it. I'm not going to tell you. I'm making it exciting here. So keep looking for it. I'm not going to tell you. Keep going. It's called the 4. Some of them have 4, some of them have 8, and it's called the ATX power 12-volt power.
Cool.
There you are.
Right there.
That's a 4-pin. There's the 8-pin, and there's a 4-pin. That's an old motherboard. It only has 4-pin. Okay, it's called the 4-pin Molex cable. That also comes from the power supply, the PSU. Right here is called the CPU, and the box, the power supply, is called the PSU, and the graphic card is called the GPU, graphic port unit. Okay, so this is the Molex 4-pin power cable, ATX power cable, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, this two connectors is just strictly power, to power up the peripherals and to power up the either the embedded video card. This is probably the video card right here. Right here, this little shield here.
Yes.
It's a heatsink, right? You see heatsink right there? That's for the video card probably, because this has an HDMI port. So this is probably the video, embedded soldered video connector. Okay, that's probably the GPU right here. Okay, right there. Has a heatsink because it's cooling down the heat on the video. Okay, so this right here, it's called the memory slot, right? There's only 2 of them. They're called DIMMs. DIMM. Either a DDR4 or DDR3. Let me see what kind of memory. DDR4. See that? DDR4.
Yep.
So that's a DDR4 dual channel. They work in pairs. You need 2 of them to run this. That's why there's 2. Okay? Dual channel. The purpose of memory. Why you need dual channel memory. Yeah. Why? Right here. By using dual channel memory, you may efficiently double the memory bandwidth and reduce obviously the half of the latency. So it's going to be less slow, resulting in faster and smoother performance for applications that require a lot of memory, such as gaming, video editing, and multitasking. So do you really need? Yes, you do. You need dual channel. Okay? The major difference is CPU usage. When you're single channel memory, the CPU usage is higher and there's lower bandwidth. So it's slow. But if you have two memories, the memory is going to make it up to 10 to 20% faster. See that? I got 64 gigs. Is 32 gigs overkill? Shouldn't cause problems with your computer or gaming performance. It helps improve performance with demanding tasks or workflows, as well as provide maximum future proofing. So there you are. So is it important to upgrade the memory? Yes, it is important. Does RAM memory increases FPSs? That's for gaming. Yes, of course. The RAM will increase your game performance and game rates. Which is better? Obviously DDR5. Right?
Yep.
So I'm showing you the sold motherboard, but I'm just, whatever. That's a heatsink, right? Heatsink. The little aluminum metal thing, it's a heatsink to cool off a device, which is sometimes a memory module. It could be an embedded memory. It could be a video card embedded, or it could be all sorts of things that heat up. Okay? So what's a MOSFET? What is a MOSFET? Right there. What's the function of that? MOSFET is the most commonly type of transistor. It's a transistor. There's different type of transistors. That's one transistor, okay? The primary use is to control conductivity for power, for high electrical flow, okay? This one has MOSFETs. There's a MOSFET right here. See all these three? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See that? And there's more.
Yep.
There's more over here. There's another one right there. Oh, right there. DDR4 memory. See that? And then there's another MOSFET. Let me see. I guess that's it. Oh, there's a MOSFET right here. See this right here? Right in where it says prime. Right there. There's
Yeah,
only two
right
prime.
under. Yep.
Yeah, that's another MOSFET. There's different types of MOSFETs, right? See, like this right here. That's the one we saw. There's different types. There's squared ones. Modern, let's say modern MOSFET, right? Because there's different type of MOSFETs, right? See these right here? See this one? This is the ones you were looking at right now. See this? This one, this thing right here? See that?
Right.
That's the one you're looking at, okay? And there's different types of MOSFETs, of course. See this right here? See, right there. Yeah. This is the same as this. You can't see the information because sometimes they erase the name brand purposely because they want to kind of make it proprietary, but they all have a name, right?
Right.
Okay. That's another MOSFET. These blow out, and these are replaceable. You can replace these. See? Usually the MOSFETs are on the bottom of the GPU. Like this is the bottom of the motherboard on the bottom, right? Yeah. These are fuses and MOSFETs. They're a combination of both. So there's 3D MOSFETs and there's 2D MOSFETs. Okay, right there. See this too? So the 3D is a little bit bigger, right? The body is like below and the insulator is on the bottom. You see? So there's different type of MOSFETs. Okay, there's different type of MOSFETs. There's another one here. See that? See that? So this is most likely like these right here. See that? And there's more right here, the small ones. So there's different.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's different types, right? Different types. There's different type of circuits, right? Different type of there's different type of circuits. This is the old capacitor here, the red one. This is the newer capacitors right here, a combination. That's a 3D MOSFET. See the little square right here?
Right.
See? And the bottom one is still the MOSFET, but it's a small one. right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3D MOSFETs and there's the original ones. That's a socket right there. And these are capacitors, and these are old capacitors, right? And like I said, there's different type of stuff. See MOSFETs right here. There's MOSFETs, there's capacitors right here, metal caps. This is an older cap right here, piece of crap. So, okay.
I mean, do
Yeah.
you know why they put the old one with the new one?
Because they want to
Couldn't
cut
get
prices, because they
got
cost more money. These are more expensive. These are metal. These are more like
got.
rubber capacitors, a little bit of rubber, a little bit of metal. But this is fully
Mm-hmm.
metal. So it's just aluminum.
Yep,
It costs more money to make these. They're more expensive.
I understand.
Okay. That's the reason why they do that.
Got
But the metal capacitors are better because they last longer. Okay, so ATX 12-pin power supply. I'm going to show you a power supply, right? Powers, PSU. Let me show you type of connections. Or connectors, in this case, connectors, right? Okay. These are old school. This is old school connector. This is more for like a floppy drive, or this is old school connections, okay? This is the 24 pin, the one I was talking about. See this?
Mm-hmm.
This
Yep.
24 pin. Okay, this is the 24 pin connector from the power supply. Okay, this is the 24 pin from the power supply, right? Okay.
Yep.
There are two types of powers. There's this one. There's also the SATA. SATA right here. See? Right here. This is what I was going to try to show you. This has power, right? And this is the 4 pin. This is the 4 plus 4 pin. This is 4 and 4. That's 8, right? 8 pin. Remember?
Right. Mm-hmm.
See, this only has
The one
4,
here.
right? This
Yeah.
has 4. Okay. The new motherboards have up to 16, like 8 and 8. The new motherboards. Okay. This is 4. So this is 4 and 4, right? And you have to connect both. Because if you don't connect both, let's say if this one has another one here, you need to connect it. If not, it's not going to run. It's not going to turn on. The next one is 24 pin, 20 plus 4. The other 4 is just power, right? See the red and black?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
power. Okay. The next one is a SATA cable. It's also a power cable that goes onto the motherboard. Remember I connected this to your computer? This cable?
Yes, to the SSD. Yep.
Yeah, right. This is the
Mhm.
power. The other cable, the red cable, the blue cable, that's a data. That's a data, SATA data cable. This is the power. This is called the serial ATA cable, and this is for power to whatever peripherals. It could be RGB lighting. It could be hard drive, regular traditional hard drive. It could be regular PCI Express adapter. Or it could be an SSD, whatever. The next one is a floppy. Most of the computers don't have a floppy connection anymore. Most of the motherboards don't have this connection anymore. Sorry, most of the PSUs, which is a power supplies, don't have these connections anymore because they're actually obsolete or becoming obsolete. Some computers do still have it, and you could still connect this one to those. You've seen those memory, like little square box that has different type of memory ports that you could put different type of memory cards in there. Well, that's what it uses. The next one is a 6-pin. This 6-pin PCI Express, this one is for video cards. It's a 6-pin. Sometimes the video card requires 12 pins, which is 6 plus 6, right? Some video cards have, video. It's for a video card. It's for a GPU, okay? So this is for 4, okay? The next one is the Molex cable. It's a 4-pin Molex cable. It's old school for old school peripherals, okay? They're gonna stop making these pretty soon, okay? Because they started with the SATA. They're not doing the 4-pin anymore, okay? See, 4-pin. This is for CPU. This is for SATA. This has both. It's an adapter. SATA Molex 4-pin cable to SATA adapter. This is the ribbon cable, which is not the ribbon cable, the 24-pin cable. This one is the same thing. It's an adapter. It's an ATX connection. And this is a Molex cable. See, remember I told you about the Molex cable? It's a 4-pin Molex cable. Okay, so you need that. That's important. Okay, that's for the power supply. Okay, so this is right here. I already told you about this. This is called the memory. This is the socket memory, DDR socket, DDR4 memory. Okay, this one right here, this thing right here that you see, it only has 1, 2, 3. That's called the PCI Express 16 times. See that where it says 16 times right there? PCI Express 16 on the side there where the line is. See this thing right here? See where it says right there PCI? See Landguard below Landguard?
Yes,
It
I
says
see it. Yep.
PCI
PCI
Express.
times 16.
PCI Express, okay?
Mhm.
PCI Express 16 times. 16 pin, so it's a 16 times. A video card goes here, okay? It only has one. This is kind of like the generic video motherboard. It doesn't have that many PCI Express. This is a cheapy one, okay? The next one is the PCI 1. See PCI Express
Yeah.
1 and the PCI Express 1. It's a 1, 1, 2, and the 1, 1. There's two of them in there. There's this one on the
Yeah.
bottom. Well, this is for like a sound card. Let me show you. Let me show you PCI types. PCI Express or PCIe Express types. Okay, different type of connections. Okay, right there. PCI 1 times. See this right here? PCI 1, right? Right there on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is 16 times. See the big one? 16 times right there. The big one, the long one. Okay? The next one is the 4 times and the 8 times. This is for different type of devices. Some devices require these. The single one has smaller bandwidth. The 16 times has better bandwidth. Look at the speed, 40 to 80 gigabytes per second, right? Look at this one, 2.5 to 5, right? 10 to 20 and 20 to 40. So the bandwidth is faster on the 16 times. Okay?
Yes.
And let me show you GPU. Let me show you GPU, PCIe. Okay, these are the old video cards, right? These are the old video cards. Let's say this is a modern video card. Is that a 4 times, a 1 times, a 16 times, or 8 times? Which one is that one?
16 times.
16 times, right? Okay. Is that a 16 times? Or that's
That is,
okay.
hold on, just a second.
It's a 16 times.
It's an 8?
Yeah,
Yeah.
16
Okay.
times. Okay. What about this one? 16 times or 4 times or 8 times?
16.
Okay.
16.
Let me show you one that's okay. I'm gonna show you a sound card. No, not that. I don't want that. I want to go back. Let's close this out. Okay, on this one, let me show you one. Let me show you one. What is this? A 4 times, a 2 times, a 1 times? What is that? That's a sound card.
On card, that looks like a 1 time.
That's correct. What about this one? What about this one right here? 1 times, right?
Yes, 1 time.
Okay. Let's do 8 times. Let me see what happens. Let me see if there's an 8 times. I think this is it right here. See this right here? That's not a 6
Yeah.
times. That's not a 6 times. That's an 8 times. See that? That's
Yeah,
an
it looks like, yeah, the pins look way more coarse.
yeah, a little
Like,
bit bigger.
yeah,
A little bit
yeah, a
bigger.
little bigger, right.
Okay.
Okay, I said it wrong. Okay.
Okay, a little bit bigger. There's different types, right? The 8 times and the let's do one 4 times. Let's see it 4 times. Let me see if one shows. I think this is 4 times, right? Oh, what the hell am I doing? I think this is 4 times, right? Look at that. A little bit bigger. A little bit bigger than the 1 times, right?
Yeah.
Let me go back. Sorry. Let me show you. See, there's the 1 time, the 4 times, 8 times. So it's a little bit bigger than the 1 times, right? And a little bit smaller than the 8 times, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Oh, right there.
But I mean,
See right there.
by me looking at by me doing a comparison, it just looks almost all the same. But when you really look at it, it's
Yeah,
not.
right. It's a different type of size, right? It's a different type of size.
Right.
Okay. So let's go here. So what is this on the 2 bottom ones?
The 2 bottom one is PCI 2.
No.
Where bottom one. What we're looking at?
Yeah.
We're looking at the bottom one.
The PCI Express one. All 3 of them. Tell me what they are. What kind of port they are.
Oh, okay. So the PCI 16, and then the middle one is an 8.
What
1.
Are you asking me or you're
Sorry.
telling me?
Hold on, I am not.
Are you
Go back
asking
to
me
look at it.
Are you asking me or telling me?
So you want me to verify those three, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first
It's
one,
it's telling you right there, bro.
yeah, PCI one,
Okay.
and then the other one's PCI one as well, because
Okay.
that's the second one. Yeah,
Yes,
got it.
yes. Just read it. If you don't know or if you forgot, it's okay. Ain't no thing, brother. Just read it. Please read it.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There's two
So
types.
it's saying,
Okay, there's
so it's just saying that that's the first one and the second
okay.
PCI one,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
got it.
There's different type of interfaces for PCI Express for hard drives. There's different type of SSDs. Different type of SSD. There's different type of SSDs, right? I'm gonna show you the different types, okay? Right here. Okay, which one did I install on your computer?
2.5 SATA.
That is correct. Are you telling me or are you
No,
asking
that's
me?
that's the one. That's the
Okay,
one
okay,
because I remember the size and I remember you plugged
okay,
in
okay.
the left one.
Yeah,
I don't know what the plug's size, but I
okay.
know we
The
just went
big,
over
the
it. But
big,
yeah,
con- the big connection. It's called the SATA cable, SATA power cable,
yeah.
SATA power cable. So SATA power cable. Check it out. See? SATA.
Um,
See that? SATA
right,
power
right.
cable. See this right here? SATA power cable.
Mhm.
SATA power cable. That's a SATA power cable, brother. Okay? So
Yes, sir. And then the other one's
the next one,
video, right?
yeah, the other one
Right.
is
Audio,
data cable. So
data cable.
it's called SATA data cable.
Mm,
See the difference?
yes.
SATA data cable, brother, right there.
Mhm.
Images. See? That's a SATA
Yes.
data cable. Okay? That's a data cable. So let me close that out. Okay.
Okay.
So which one's the data cable off the 2.5 inch?
The one on my right,
Yes. And what
and
is
then the one on
the
my
other one?
left,
The other one's called. Okay.
powered,
Okay.
power.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good. There's
data power
there's
cable.
3 times of SSDs, right? This is 4 different type of SSDs, right? Right.
Okay.
The traditional one is a 2.5 inch. Okay. The 2.5 inch.
Okay.
The next one is called the NVMe. Okay. And I'll tell you what NVMe is. I'll show you what okay. It's called the non-volatile memory express. You're not going to remember this, but you have to remember it because one time, what does NVMe stand for? Non-volatile memory express. That's what it's called. NVMe. See this? It's
Mhm.
still an SSD, but it's an NVMe SSD. And it's also
Okay.
considered an M.2. See, M.2, it's still an M.2 NVMe SATA connector, right? But it's still an NVMe cable. The difference between this one and this one, the NVMe is faster than the M.2. Okay?
Mm.
And the next one is the M.2 SATA, which is the old traditional memory or SSD. And the last one is the way before. That's the one that came out, the mSATA, which is not as popular anymore right now, but it's still good memory. Still good memory. Okay? Let me show you. Show me in there where does that SATA NVMe or the NVMe SSD go into on that motherboard. Show me. I'm not going to tell you where. You got to figure it out. Show me where it goes. No. Now go to the top one right there. Right there. Go. Show me, brother. Show me the money.
Just a second. Give me.
Show me where it goes. It's right there. I'm looking at it, but I'm not going to tell you where.
Okay.
Keep
Well,
going.
thank you for your hint.
Nope. Just look at it. Let me go back.
Okay, let me look at it.
Let me see. Let me close this out. Look at the NVMe and look at the mSATA. Look at the port where it connects to. and look at the other side. It has like a circle, right, on the top, and it has connectors. One has 2 connectors, and one has 1 connector. Show me where that is. Where does it connect? Show me. Take your time, brother. No problem.
I mean, this is the card, the video card up here on the PCI Express 16.
Okay. It's not there.
I am
You're
out there.
you're actually cold.
I'm cold.
Yeah, you're cold.
Okay.
Move it around. I'll tell you whether you're hot or cold. Getting hotter. Getting hotter. Getting hot. It's hot. It's hot, brother.
Right
There.
there.
It's written
right
right
there.
there,
I
bro.
see it. Right there.
What does it
right
say
there.
right
So
there?
here
What does it say?
it
right
is
there?
written M2 socket
Yes.
P3.
Okay.
Right there.
You could put
It says it right there.
okay. M2 socket. Right? Which, if you go back here, which
Yep.
let me close this out. Which of the 2 hard drives it's compatible to this motherboard? Because this is an older motherboard. Which one's more compatible? From these 2 to
Mhm.
this, which one's more which is compatible?
Compatible.
I'm gonna tell you, so because you don't know much about it, I'm gonna tell you they're both compatible because they're both M.2. Even though it doesn't say M.2 right there, it's still an M.2.
Oh yeah, this one because the V is faster than that one.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's the only difference. It's NVMe is faster, non-volatile memory express. Okay, so both memories. See the slot right there? See the socket, M.2 socket next to it. See in the middle, there's a ridge, like almost in the middle, like to the left, looking down.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Oh, so it's like
and
two connections.
see those connections, see those little screws right there? See those 3 screws right there in the middle? 2280, 2260, 2242. See those?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is the size of the NVMe because there's different sizes. Okay, let me show you the different sizes. Different size. M.2. Check it out. Look at this. So let's go images. Actually, let's go back. It's right there. See this right here?
Yep, the dimension is right there. Yeah.
Okay, so there's different sizes. There's 80, 30, 40, 60, and 110. Okay? Okay, so there's different sizes. Millimeter, right? 110 millimeter, 60 millimeter, 42 millimeter, whatever. What kind of millimeter does this motherboard uses? The 80 millimeter, the 60 millimeter, and the 42 millimeter. So you could put 3 different type of sizes. You see that? Don't you see it right in the middle?
Right in the middle,
2280,
right there.
2280, 2260, 2242.
Right.
Don't you see that?
So pretty much it's telling us that you could be any size of that, but obviously the larger one is more memory, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Okay.
It's better. The largest one is better.
Larger is better.
Yeah, let me show you the sizes here. Oh, right here. There's different sizes. You cut the wafer. See this? See right there? See this right there? You cut it.
Yes.
You make it the size you want to cut it. It's like universal.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like this
Okay.
picture though. Let me go a different picture. Oh, right there. The 2210 is a large one. That's not a common one. That's more like for Apple computers and different devices. But the common one is a 2280.
Okay.
The 2280 is the most common one, and the most common one out of these is the 2230. This is the MSATA. So the 2230, I've seen the 2242, but I haven't seen the 60 and the 42 that much. The most you see is a 2280. The 2280 or a small one, 2230. That's the most you see. The big one is more for Apple computer. That's a long one. Okay? So different sizes here. See that?
Yes.
So the
So
2280.
I'm assuming that where that radius is at, that little circular part, lines up with those.
That's lines up to that screw right here. See the screws?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
where they line up. You put a screw there.
Got it.
Okay?
Keep it stationary, right? So it
And
doesn't
it's a
seem-
PCI Express 4 times. Okay? It's a 4 times speed. So it'll use a PCI Express, because you got 4, right? You have this one. Let me show you. You got PCI Express 1, PCI Express 2, PCI Express 3, and the next one is this one, socket M2. That's also a PCI Express. So how many PCI Expresses do you have in there?
Total 4.
Why? Tell me again.
Why? So 4. This one is because the label right here.
Yeah, the big one.
PCX1, PCX2, and PCX3. This
And
is
that's
the
also
SSD.
also considered a mini PCI Express, but it is a PCI Express.
It's right there. Right?
Yeah.
It says right there in the middle. PCI
Yeah.
times 4, right there. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. There you is.
Okay, I was looking for that on this side right here.
No, it's
I
not
was
going to
looking
tell you.
for
It's not
that.
going to tell you
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
common sense. It uses
yeah.
a PCI Express lane. The reason why it says 4 because you have 4 lanes of PCI Express. 4 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to show me. I want you to show me something right now.
Okay.
2 point. Okay. SSD 2.5. Okay. You see one, right? Let's say you see this one right here. You see this one right here. Obviously, the long one. Does the long one do?
Oh, the long one is power, SATA power.
Yeah, and the
SATA
bottom,
power,
and then SATA data.
it's
Data
SATA
transfer.
data.
Okay.
Yep.
See the picture, right? See the picture. Look at the picture
Yes.
hard. Look at the picture hard. Okay. Look at it. Are you done looking at it?
I'm completely done. Yes.
Look at the picture, right? You saw the picture, right? Okay.
Yes.
Show me where does the data cable connect to the motherboard? The SATA cable connects to the motherboard. I'm looking at it.
Yep. It's getting hotter right there.
Where?
So right there to the bottom, right here.
On the bottom where, sir?
Bottom of where the M is at, M2.
M2.
So
Show
M2
me,
socket.
okay, hold on a second. Okay, how many are they in there? How many SATA connectors are they in there? No, not there. That's just strictly for the M.2. That's not for the 2.5-inch SATA SSD, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here. Is behind it?
No.
I'm asking you. I'm
No.
asking.
No. Cold. Keep going. Cold. What does it say right there? What does it say right there? Where you put the cursor?
That's why you told me to look at the damn picture. SATA 6 GB S.
Yeah. How many are they? Let me see. How many are they? Go up. How many are they? You don't have to move that much, bro. No.
Okay.
How many are they? Let me tell you, because you don't know probably. See this right here? See these? 1, 2, 3, 4. See this? Panel, SATA, 6 gigs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many SSDs can you connect to the motherboard?
Total 4.
How many SSDs can you connect to that motherboard?
1. Because
Again, how many SSDs can you connect to that particular motherboard? Use your logic. I'm going to tell you, okay?
yeah, I got
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The PCI Express M.2, that's one SSD. That's another SSD. That's another. So there's 5 SSDs that you could connect to that motherboard.
So, I mean, okay, how is it gonna fit in that? I mean, is it gonna use 5 of the 2.5 or 5 of the M2? Or how does that work?
No, listen again. One is an M.2, and the 4 of them are the SATA 2.5.
Got it.
And
Uh,
they are connected with a cable, sir. It's called the
Yep.
data cable. The SATA. Didn't I show you the SATA cable?
yes, you did
Yeah, I did.
because it connects.
Right there. Those are the cables. One end connects to the motherboard. The other end connects to the SSD.
And
Okay.
okay,
So let me stop this recording for now.